Didn't that hand hewing look good on that trim too?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, we manufacture those timber products and then we design the home with those sizes and shapes in mind so that you have that seamless look. You have that one piece of timber on the bottom. We know how big that timber has to be, how big that space has to be from the jamb to the floor. Like you pointed out in the video, some of those little things that we do behind the scenes that most people don't think of until it's too late, like that kitchen window. Making sure that crown molding didn't die or protrude onto that casing of that window. It looks nice. It looks intentional. Those are little things that we do behind the scenes that people maybe take for granted, until sometimes it's too late. But those are things that we do on a daily basis.
Well, here's a really good point. I've heard you talk about this so many times, Justin. Post spacing below decks. Take a look at this home. I mean, look at how few posts there are out there. You've got those massive patio doors, and we don't have an obstructed view. That's so important when you do have this multi-million-dollar view.
And it just gives you that much more outdoor living space. Imagine if you had a bunch of posts down there now, what could be dubbed as a nice covered porch area underneath the deck. You're working around posts and stuff, so you don't have the space for furniture if you wanted to or something. So getting rid of those posts, not only are you maximizing that view, but now you've kind of doubled your outdoor living space as well.
Yeah. And here's what I love about what we do here. That's all stuff that we care about. And we just know that it's very common for our clients. So we would adopt that into our design. We don't put posts in there for you to come back and say, hey, what about my view? Now, we already know you've got a great view. We already have these assumptions in mind. So that way you don't have a finished home and you say, oh, why did you guys design these posts here? So I just think that's something nice to point out. And it's one of those things that when you see a finished home, we highlight a lot of great details about the home. There's also quite a few things that we just don't get into the details of, but we do it before the home's ever built. And that's why it ended up being an incredible home.
I think from the back elevation of that home too, and you mentioned in the video, the double staircases coming down and then the two different porches really gave it a nice balance and symmetry to that elevation as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that stood out to me. I thought that was a good touch. It really, it kind of brought in the backyard, making it a whole grand area.
Yeah. One more thing on the exterior that I love, and I think I've touched on this before, but it is the side load garage. A lot of times it has to do with the property and how you're going to approach the home and where the driveway is coming in. But that side load garage, what it does, it takes those garage doors off the front of the home. So you have a better, curb appeal. The home generally looks better from the roadside. And then, it's easy access for the homeowner. They can pull right in the garage. But then when your guests arrive, they're pulling up to your house. They're typically stopping right in front of your garage, right in front of your garage, and boom, that beautiful front entry is right there. There's no question, no guessing on where your front door is. It's right there. And with that home, we had the zero entry, the zero entry garage. There's no steps into the home. There's one step, I think, onto the deck, but it was seamless when your guests arrive right into the home.
And that's why it's so important to know what land you're building on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And being able to plan for the driveway space, potentially clearing any snow if you're in a real northern climate. Yeah, all that is so important.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we're looking for a plata survey or topographical survey when we're designing your home. We're not trying to force this design or plan onto your property. We're working with the property. We're going to flow with the land. We're going to make it seem seamless coming in from the road into the house. So yeah, property first, and then designing the home to optimize, the design of the home, the flow of the home.
I recently met with homeowners who said that they were looking at Golden Eagle, they were looking at our floor plans, and they didn't find a plan that was quite perfect for them. So they went to an outside design firm and started to design a floor plan. And then it just wasn't quite working out for them. And they eventually came around to watching one of our videos, and they just heard the keywords of them hearing, all these plans are customized. Nothing is a stock plan. And they said, I don't know why that didn't stick with us sooner. We never would have gone to this outside design firm. And that's the point of what you're saying here is we want to know everything about your land. These homes are inspiration. You look at all these thousands of floor plans on our website. It doesn't mean that you need to pick one of those, right? It's just, you're just pulling different elements that we like from those homes. and we're going to design it specifically for your area that you're building.
I mean, generally, I tell clients there's two ways to start. You know, we can start with inspiration from a lot of our designs, grab inspiration from a lot of other plans and, you know, make it your own. Or we can start with a clean slate. You know, we can start with just a sheet of paper, your property, and just start sketching and create truly a one-of-a-kind home. I mean, that's what we do. We custom design, you know, dream homes every day.